connected. Boxing and Parkinson's disease.
It's a fascinating connection, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got research, case studies, and we're even taking a look at what's going on in England with some cool boxing programs.
It really makes you rethink things. You wouldn't think a sport known for hitting would be good for a condition that affects movement.
That's exactly what makes this so interesting. So the big question is, can boxing actually help someone fight back against Parkinson's?
Let's find out.
Sounds good to me. Let's start with a quick look at Parkinson's itself.
Right, so Parkinson's is a disease that gets worse over time because brain cells are dying.
Okay, so what part of the brain are we talking about here?
It's called the substantia nigra, and this part's job is to produce dopamine.
Dopamine. Isn't that the chemical that basically tells our bodies to move?
Exactly. You could say it's like the oil for our movement machinery.
I like that analogy.
So with Parkinson's, the dopamine supply gets low, and that's why people experience things like tremors and slow movements.
It makes sense. It's like the signals are getting weaker.
And then there's the rigidity and balance issues that often come with Parkinson's.
Okay, so that paints a picture of Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know exercise is generally good for people, but it seems like it could be really helpful for those with this condition.
That's right. Studies show that exercise can actually improve motor function and even boost mood.
Wow, so it really can make a difference.
Yeah, for a lot of people with Parkinson's, exercise can improve their overall quality of life.
So we know exercise is good, but why is boxing getting so much attention as a potential therapy?
Well, it's not just about throwing punches, it's the whole package.
What do you mean?
Think about it. You've got the footwork, the coordination, the strategy, and of course the actual punching.
Ah, so it's like a full body and brain workout all in one.
Exactly. Now, there's this study called Effective Boxing Exercises on the Functional Ability and Quality of Life of Individuals with Parkinson's Disease, a systematic review. It looked at 3 different trials to see what kind of impact boxing training really has.
Were the results promising?
They were. It turns out that boxing actually helped people with their balance and quality of life.
That's great. What about things like actually moving around? Did it help with that?
The results were a bit mixed on the mobility front.
So some people saw improvements while others didn't.
Right. There's another paper, Frontiers Boxing for Parkinson's Disease. Has implementation accelerated beyond current evidence? It looked at other studies and kind of had similar results.
Similar in what way?
It found that boxing helped with balance and quality of life, but it also pointed out that more research is needed.
Makes sense, especially if we want to understand the long-term effects and how to tailor programs for people at different stages of Parkinson's.
Exactly. But even now, we're seeing some pretty cool things happening in the brain when people with Parkinson's box.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Okay, so remember we talked about that dopamine shortage? Well, intense exercise like boxing might actually help boost something called BDNF.
BDNF. What's that?
It stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Okay, but what does it do?
Think of it like fertilizer for the brain. It helps protect those brain cells and maybe even helps new ones grow.
So it's like boxing is counteracting the cell death that's happening in Parkinson's.
That's what it looks like.
Right.
And on top of that, boxing might be making the connections between different parts of the brain stronger.
So better communication means better movement control.
Yeah, and potentially even improvements in thinking and memory.
Wow. And remember, boxing isn't just about strength. It involves strategy and coordination, which keeps the brain engaged.
It does. You know, we touched on this earlier, but what about those psychosocial benefits?
Yeah, those are important too.
Parkinson's can be very isolating, but boxing often creates a real sense of community.
It must be so empowering to train with people who understand what you're going through.
And a lot of programs include cognitive exercises and mindfulness techniques too, so you're working on your mind and body at the same time.
So it's a holistic approach.
Yeah.
But do we have any real-world proof that this stuff's working?
Oh, we do. Over in England, there's a program called TKO Folkestone. They offer boxing sessions for people with Parkinson's.
I love that name. So are they seeing good results?
They are. England, boxing has even called it a huge success. People are improving their balance and coordination.
And they're getting that confidence boost and social interaction too, right?
Exactly. They're fighting back against Parkinson's on multiple levels. It's really inspiring.
It is. So what do you think? Any thoughts or questions popping up for you so far? This is your deep dive, so feel free to chime in.
Yeah, it's amazing how people are taking such an active role in managing this condition.
Definitely. And I'm curious about those specific boxing exercises that make this therapy so effective.
Okay, well, first of all, we're not training people to be professional boxers.
Of course not. So what's the goal then?
It's all about adapting those boxing techniques to create a safe workout that really targets the challenges people with Parkinson's face.
Ah, I see. So it's like taking the core of boxing and tailoring it.
Exactly. And one of the main things you'll see in these programs is punching drills.
But it's not just about hitting a bag as hard as you can, right?
Right? No, not at all. It's all about controlled movements.
So using proper technique and engaging those core muscles.
You got it. And remember, people with Parkinson's often struggle with stiff muscles and slow movement.
Right, so these punching drills could help with that.
They do. And when they work on their technique, they're also improving coordination and control.
Ah, I see. So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Okay, so punching drills are in the toolbox. What else do we have?
Well, footwork is another big one. We talked about balance being a concern.
And falls can be a real risk for people with Parkinson's.
Exactly. So think about those agility exercises you see boxers doing, stepping forward and backward, side to side, pivoting.
So they're working on staying light on their feet.
Right. Some programs even incorporate rhythmic movements into the drills, almost like a dance.
That's cool. So it's not just about throwing punches. It's about moving with purpose and coordination.
Exactly. And there's even more. Lots of these programs include exercises that challenge the brain, too.
So they're working out their minds at the same time.
Yep. Things like remembering combinations of punches or reacting to cues.
Keeps the brain active and engaged.
It does, and that helps with things like attention, memory, and reaction time, all of which can be affected by Parkinson's.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So we've got the physical and the mental covered. Now, this next part seems a little unexpected. Mindfulness. How does that fit in with boxing?
I know, it sounds a little strange, but mindfulness techniques like meditation and breathing exercises can be really helpful for people with Parkinson's.
Why is that?
Parkinson's can bring a lot of stress and anxiety.
It's a big life change.
It is. Mindfulness helps people manage those feelings.
I see. So it's about finding that inner calm,
Yes, and it's about focusing on the present moment.
which can be tough when you're dealing with a chronic illness.
You're right. It's about focusing on your breath, your thoughts, your movements, instead of getting overwhelmed by the disease.
It's like finding that inner fighter, not just in the ring, but in everyday life. So all these things together, the punching, footwork, brain exercises, and mindfulness, they really create a well-rounded approach.
They do. And the great thing is, it's all backed by science.
That's what we like to hear.
Right. We're seeing improvements in balance, coordination, even cognitive function, and quality of life.
It's like boxing is giving people with Parkinson's the tools to fight back and live their best lives.
That's a great way to put it. It's about giving them hope and helping them tap into their inner strength. And it all starts with taking that first step.
Speaking of first steps, I think it's time we talk about neuroplasticity. Remember BDNF, that brain fertilizer we discussed?
Absolutely.
So how does boxing boost BDNF, and what's its connection to neuroplasticity?
Well, think about it. The high-intensity exercises, the coordination challenges, the demands on the brain, it all creates the perfect environment for BDNF.
So it thrives in that kind of setting.
It does. It's like giving the brain a supercharge. And BDNF is a key player in neuroplasticity.
Which is?
The brain's amazing ability to rewire itself, make new connections, adapt.
Hold on. So even though Parkinson's is causing brain cells to die, boxing could actually be helping the brain fight back by rewiring itself.
That's the idea. And it's not just BDNF. Boxing seems to stimulate other brain-boosting chemicals, too. It's like a chain reaction of positive effects.
It's mind-blowing that a physical activity like boxing can do that.
It is. And the best part is it's not some complicated medical procedure. It's just moving, challenging yourself, having fun, connecting with others. It's about using your body and mind to heal.
I love that.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we have power over our own well-being. We're not just along for the ride. We can take control.
That's such an important message, especially for those facing a diagnosis like Parkinson's.
It's about reclaiming that control.
Exactly. Now, I know some people might be a little hesitant about boxing, especially with a condition that affects movement.
Yeah, safety is a big concern.
Of course. But the kind of boxing we're talking about isn't about getting in the ring and fighting someone.
Right, it's not about getting hit.
It's about controlled movements, using proper technique, engaging those core muscles.
So it's all about safety and control.
Always. And just like with any exercise program, you need to start slow, listen to your body, work with qualified instructors.
Makes sense.
And remember, even small improvements can make a big difference in someone's life.
That's encouraging to hear. So it's find that balance between challenge and safety.
Exactly. And when it's done right, boxing therapy can be a really powerful tool for managing the symptoms of Parkinson's.
It really empowers people to live more active lives.
It does. Now let's talk about the social and emotional side of these programs. We mentioned the sense of community, but I want to explore that more.
Yeah, let's dig a little deeper.
Imagine being diagnosed with something that affects your ability to move, to talk, to do the things you used to do easily.
It can be incredibly isolating.
It is, but then you walk into a boxing gym and you're with other people who understand what you're going through.
You're not alone in the fight.
Exactly. And honestly, hitting a punching bag can be a great stress reliever.
I bet.
And when you're doing it with others, sharing a laugh, encouraging each other, it becomes a celebration of life. It's like a defiant act against the disease.
It's like they're reclaiming their power and their joy one punch at a time.
That's it. It's about nourishing the soul as well as the body and building resilience,
Yeah.
the ability to bounce back and keep going.
So it's not just about fighting Parkinson's. It's about fighting for a better quality of life.
Beautifully said. It's about finding that strength to live fully, no matter what.
It's about finding that inner fighter and not letting Parkinson's define you.
Exactly. Before we move on to some of the great organizations out there making boxing therapy accessible, are you having any aha moments? Any questions coming to mind?
It's incredible how much there is to learn about this. It really is amazing to see people finding that kind of support. It's like they're all in this together.
They are. And in this last part of our deep dive, let's talk about some of the organizations that are making this kind of therapy available to people all over.
Yeah, let's highlight some of those champions, those people who are really making a difference.
One group that's doing amazing work is Rock Steady Boxing. They've been real pioneers in this, creating a program specifically for people with Parkinson's.
I've heard of them. They seem to be growing really fast.
They are. It's become a global movement with programs in so many different countries.
Wow, that's impressive. So what makes their program so special?
Well, they have this comprehensive program that combines traditional boxing techniques with exercises that target those Parkinson's symptoms.
Right, so it's not just about hitting things. It's about improving balance, strength, even how well your brain works.
Exactly. And their program can be adapted for people at different stages of the disease.
So it doesn't matter if you were just diagnosed or if you've been dealing with Parkinson's for years, there's a place for you.
Exactly. And they don't just focus on the physical stuff. They've created a real community feeling.
That's so important. Feeling like you belong, like you're not alone.
Right. Rocksteady Boxing is more than just exercise. It's a support system, a place to connect with others and celebrate those wins, no matter how small they seem.
And are they seeing results?
Oh, yeah. People are reporting huge improvements, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, too. It's really inspiring to see.
It is. It shows how powerful this type of therapy can be. Are there other organizations out there doing this kind of work?
There are. One that's doing great things, especially in the UK, is the Parkinson's Boxing Project.
Tell me about them.
Their big thing is making boxing therapy accessible to everyone, so they offer free classes for people with Parkinson's.
Free! That's fantastic.
It is. They believe that everyone should have a chance to experience the benefits. And they're not just teaching boxing, they're creating a real community, a safe and supportive environment.
It sounds like they're really focused on both the physical and emotional sides of things.
They are. And they're seeing great results, too. People are reporting better balance, coordination, strength, and they're also finding a new sense of purpose.
That's so important. It's about empowering people to take charge of their lives and fight back against this condition. And it's inspiring other groups to do the same.
You're right. More and more Parkinson's boxing programs are starting up, giving hope to people all over the world.
It's really changing the way we think about Parkinson's, isn't it?
It is. It's not seen as a slow decline anymore. It's a challenge that you can face head-on with courage and determination.
And with a supportive community behind you.
Exactly.
So if you're living with Parkinson's or you know someone who is, don't give up hope. There's help out there. There are communities waiting to welcome you.
Seriously, consider trying a boxing program. You might be surprised at how strong and resilient you are.
And don't forget about Powerhouze. They're doing amazing work with boxing lessons for people with Parkinson's. You can find them at parkinsonboxenalmere.nl.
They're a great example of how this therapy can change lives.
Absolutely. So, to wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with a call to action.
Yes, let's encourage them to take that next step.
If you're living with Parkinson's, look into boxing programs near you. The benefits are undeniable.
And if you know someone with Parkinson's, tell them about this. You might be opening a door to hope and healing.
And for everyone else, Think about supporting these initiatives, volunteering, donating, spreading the word. You can help people with Parkinson's and join the fight against this disease.
Together, we can make a difference. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the amazing world of boxing and Parkinson's. We hope you've learned something new, that you feel hopeful, and maybe you've even discovered a passion for this sport and its potential to heal.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep fighting for a better tomorrow.